It may be a shortened week in the markets, but there is a shit ton going on. We have Mt. Gox transferring $9 billion worth of Bitcoin. We have the ETH ETF to cover. Trump getting in on the crypto game, all sorts of shenanigans in the meme coin streets. We'll be talking about all of that and more today on Money Never Sleeps. Happy Tuesday, and thanks for joining us today, everybody. As we get going, do us a favor, like, subscribe, and remember that nothing that House or I say is financial advice, so please do your own research. Yes, it is the one and only Mr. Robert House joining me today. Our buddy Kevin is off grinding at the coal mines, rubbing his shekels together, trying to make some more money to buy the dip that may or may not ever come. House, how are you doing on this lovely Tuesday?
I'm doing good. Just got over a sinus infection, so feeling much better on that front. But hey, weather's warming up, market's still churning, so not too much to be upset about right now.
The sell in May and go away. Maybe it skipped a year. Maybe this is maybe in election years that's not a thing. A lot to cover, a lot going on in the markets this week. Just on the technical side, we had the change to T+1 for the equity market. So now it only takes trades 1 day to settle, which is causing a lot of stress with these major institutions on how that's going to impact the system. We don't need to get too deep into the weeds there, but something that's been on my radar. We have data coming out. Home price data came out this morning. To no one's surprise, homes are just as unreasonably expensive as ever. Damn near a luxury to own your own home at this point. Tomorrow we get the Fed Beige Book with more information, for each district around how they're viewing the economy. We have some Fed presidents speaking. On Thursday, we get the first revision for Q1 GDP. Expectation is 1.2, which is lower than the previous time. We'll see if we are trending toward a recession or if we're already in one. We'll get some pending home sales data. And then the big data points on Friday, we get PCE, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. We'll get personal income, personal spending. The early expectations I've seen is for income and spending to be lower than the previous month, but PCE and core PCE to be pretty much the same, which is not a great thing for the Fed and what they're going to do with rates moving forward. So that is what to expect. Unfortunately, we will not be around to cover a lot of it. House is traveling. Kevin is traveling. On Friday, I'm traveling. So I guess we just got, dude, is this going to be an apocalyptic nuke on Friday? Like usually when one of us travels, the markets take a hit, but all of us traveling at the same time, like this could be fucking Armageddon, bro.
Nah, I was thinking something right as you were saying, sell in May and go away. I was like, oh, we got the travel jinx, and we still technically got 3 more days of May for a sell to go away.
You're traveling back on Friday, right?
Well, Friday, I think my plane. It's not relevant enough for me to check, but I don't get back in Ohio until after midnight, technically. So I'll be traveling through Friday night, like into Saturday, technically. So.
I think Kevin travels on Friday. I know I travel Friday morning. You travel Friday night. It's just going to be, oh my God, I'm going to land and I'm going to open up everything. And it's just going to be red across the board. Let's talk a little bit. I wasn't here on Friday, had some stuff going on. We did get official news that the ETH ETF was approved. The speculation around that sent the price momentarily to almost 4K. It came back down. It's been trading in this 3,800 range a lot. Still a huge move from where it was just a couple weeks ago. If we look back 2 weeks, it was it was all the way down at 2,800. So huge move up in the price of ETH. If you had the stones to get it on it, then it would have been pretty nice. But nonetheless, we've had a big move there. What are your kind of thoughts right now, House, on the ETF? Do you see much of a price impact moving forward. I was listening to Bloomberg a little bit earlier. They had a crypto, fund manager on there discussing the ETH ETF and its value, kind of speculating on like, is Solana next? Is XRP next? Is everything going to have a fucking ETF? Are we going to have like, are you going to be starting the meme coin ETF? Like, is there going to be a fund for that? What's your thoughts on this?
Honestly, I mean, I guess I'll start with, I'm trying to find the full kind of, not the full rundown, but I guess with the ETH ETF approvals, it wasn't your traditional ETH ETF that went through. I'm trying to find the tweet that referenced it, but I guess essentially there are two types of ETFs or maybe more. And this ruling essentially, it allowed for the ETFs, but it hid the commissioner vote. And I guess that the gist of it was this was more so trying to be kind of a politicized. Biden realized that he was losing the crypto vote and they needed to do something. But I don't know. I never really thought the ETH ETFs, at least when they launched, would be as significant as, they appeared to not be when in practice, right? Like it seemed like we were already
not as significant as Bitcoin, as the Bitcoin ETF was.
People were making it out to be, right? Like it seemed like we were priced in. The first rejection saw a little bit of a pullback, but we've kind of hovered around this 3,900 range for a little bit now. And ultimately, right, like ETH isn't supposed to be as much of a store of value as Bitcoin, right? Like it's at its core, it's a computational gas currency to, add security and decentralize the network. That being said, like I still think ETH is probably going to go up in value, but it's going to wait until Bitcoin finds its settling point. And the reason I say that right now is because there doesn't seem to be a lot of support at anywhere ETH is up until like 2,400 long term. And I'm angling away from the Kevin bearishness take that I was riding on for a while. And that's literally because nothing seems to say that the price is going to go down until we get, that crazy black swan that Kevin's waiting for. And while there may be one looming, it's like, I don't know, man, we're in an election year. No one's going to let it fail while they're waiting, right? Like any institution is going to try and uphold that spirit of things need to go well until the next president gets here so we can blame everything on that president. And it, as weird as that sounds to say, because there's no really real path of logic, I'll just go by Elon Musk's favorite quote: the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. Because it seems like really that's how the markets have acted, right? Is a lot of people were like, these are terrible market conditions. We've got a lot of uncertainty. Something's going to break. And it's like, nope. Now you get the lifelong bulls celebrating all the bears. You're like, what's going on? Coffee removed from CPI. Inflation's been looking terrible. We don't know where the Fed's going to go. Everything's going up in price. And, but so is Bitcoin. So is ETH. So are stocks, right? It's like, it's not just inflation rising. It's the value of everything overall. So I think up until we see that breaking point, I mean, I don't know what that is anymore, right? Because there were a bunch of things we thought it could be. We thought it could be real estate. We thought it could be credit. And while those are still looming, they're still kind of sitting, right? They're getting a little bit worse, but I'm just kind of taking it day by day right now. I'd say I'm mostly risk off, not quite fully, but that's just because I've taken a good chunk of change off the table. So the risk that I am on, it's risk that I can afford to lose, and it's mostly gains that I made during the sideways chop. But yeah, I mean, I think TLDR, I'm just kind of hodling, so to speak, and waiting for Bitcoin to go to 100K plus.
Yeah, it's been, I haven't been on as bearish as Kevin, and I've made it pretty clear that while I think that there is something looming, I'm not trying to time this market. Like I've been sitting here happily holding my risk assets because, well, not all of them. I sold my NVIDIA. Jesus Christ, dude. Fucking NVIDIA sale is just like, I made such a good return on it, but man, I'm just looking at where it would be. And I'm just like, don't do the math in your head of how much money you lost out on. Anyway, the markets have tried to like insulate themselves from the rest of the economy because your average person, we've seen it in all different areas. We're seeing it in entertainment. Like no one's going, like I keep seeing all these tweets about like the summer blockbusters. No one's going to see them. Well, guess what? No one's paying $18 for a ticket. And if you got to take a family of 4 to the movies, that's at least $100 right there. And why would you do that when it's going to be on a streaming app here in 4 weeks? So it's just like your average consumer is still getting beat up, but the markets are not a reflection of the economy. Okay. So maybe some of these stocks that are dependent on, a higher amount of people purchasing are going to get hit, but some of these higher end ones are still going to keep churning. NVIDIA is still going to sell AI chips. Apple is still going to sell products to higher income, people. So, where there's a will, there's a way. And really, like when it comes to the ETH ETF and the Bitcoin ETF, like these big institutions, we see the support level, but looking at historical support in a time before BlackRock was accumulating Bitcoin, like the wall that they've probably built there is far stronger than any support level we've ever seen in crypto. So I think that's one thing as well, is like, could Bitcoin go back to 52K? I suppose it could. Is BlackRock going to let that happen? I don't know. They got a lot of sway. They have a lot of money and they have the ability to protect themselves. So that's where it comes into play, is like you have to take these historical narratives and these historical levels of support and the data points with a big grain of salt, because the market is changing, right? Let's talk for a second. We're not going to get political as far as like who we're voting for and shit, right? But we can talk about how the political and the presidential nominees are going to impact crypto. We saw Trump speaking at an event saying that he's going to protect our Bitcoin. He would not allow a central bank digital currency. He's going to let Ross Ulbricht out of prison, which is a long time coming. He's saying all of the right things to get the crypto vote. We've seen David Sachs and Chamath, who have been, were longtime Democrats, now hosting Trump events. You have all these people, Chamath, former Bitcoin guy. Now those guys like to make fun of crypto because they're idiots. But you have all of these people who they see that their financial interest is better off in the hands of Trump than it might be in Biden's hands. And what you just said about the ETH ETF kind of speaks to that too, is like, it's kind of like an ETF in name only, because they're trying to score political points here. Like he put the screws to Gary Gensler. Was like, I am falling behind terribly here. I need a win. We saw that Biden posted a job position for, they're hiring a meme manager, which I don't even know like how that would go. Like imagine Biden like having to approve a meme, like just sitting there slack jawed, pissing his pants a little bit, not too sure what's going on. And here he is trying to approve this meme. Once again, it's like the Republican Party has been at the front of crypto. We've seen it with Cynthia Lummis. We've seen it with a lot of other representatives, like trying to push things forward. That's a big win for Trump. Like the meme culture, the crypto culture, while not, it can't sway an election completely, it can have an impact. It does have money to donate, and there is going to be an impact on the election from what is happening in crypto. So I think that is a pretty massive one. Are you going to be applying for Biden's meme manager position?
No, I will not. I thought the rationale behind why they made the hiring was almost like, don't put the rationale forward. They're like, we want to be more relatable to the young generation. It's like, you say that, but like you said, the memes that are going to get whitelisted for sending, right, they're going to have to fall under like some sphere of political correctness, because it is a government job, and it's like it doesn't mix well. If it does
I love that they say we want to find more relatable to young people. How about have a candidate that's not 81 years old? All right. How about you start there?
I think to both ends of it, right? Like, I don't fully discount what Trump said, because I do think he will probably want the economic levers in place to let crypto do its thing and benefit that way. But on both ends, I do think it's a little bit of pandering, right? I think it's like whatever we can
Yeah,
say
was
that
at a
we
crypto
reasonably
event.
think we can accomplish. Yeah, it's like they've realized it's not just, I think it's two-sided. It's one side to please the US crypto holders and enthusiast side, because I saw something like 16% of all worldwide on-chain data occurs from within the US. But you also have to look at the other countries looking at us and their crypto enthusiasts, right? Let alone their governments and all their other acting bodies. But right, when you think towards why people have come to the US in the past, it's economic prosperity, it's these prospective jobs, right? Living the American dream. Crypto for a lot of people in third world countries and less fortunate circumstances, it's unlocked a portion of that economic prosperity and freedom, where people who were previously unbanked now have a way to store their money without it just inflating 1000x overnight, or just being taken from them. So I think to that end, where there are actual consumer use cases that are being realized around the world that we just haven't let ourselves here have, because we have other systems in place that do the job. Or right, we're not further along with things like DeFi, where people in the US could benefit, but we're still in that educational and knowledge gap area. So I think it is something valuable, but at the same time, it's like it's not just internal, right? It can attract people from other countries, because we've seen Russia and China both have their shares of legislation against crypto. Russia flip flopping, China flip flopping multiple times on whether you could mine or even hold it. So I think it will start to come down to one of those, not necessarily every election cycle, but I think it's something that is going to start falling in, cycle over cycle, 10 years down the line. That's going to become one of the issues. Like, where do you fall on crypto? Where do you fall on AI as technology becomes increasingly ingrained in our lives?
Yeah, the AI and crypto debates here are going to be really interesting. Biden and Trump, when they debate in June, I mean, if someone brings up AI, that is just going to be high comedy across the board. Uh, watch out. Let's take kind of a look across the markets. We're seeing a fairly flat day for most equities, with the exception of NVDA, which is up almost 6%. Absolutely crazy. 11.25 a share. Holy shit. We got Google, Apple on the move up, Coinbase as well. If we look at some of the commodities, we have oil, silver, gold, all these things. There's a lot of green in that part of the markets where people tend to, with gold and silver, some of the hedges against risk. Anything on the crypto side that has stood out to you? Like we talked about Mt. Gox and all of they've just moved an absurd amount. Like I had the whale the whale alert pulled up with just all of the Bitcoin transactions, the tens of thousands of Bitcoin that the Mt. Gox wallet has moved to an unknown wallet. They haven't moved it to, as far as I've seen, they haven't moved it to a centralized exchange yet. I'm not certain, because that was before my time in crypto, and I'm guessing it was for you too, because it was back in 2010. So you were what, in fourth grade?
I was a wee lad back then.
Yeah, you're a wee lad, way before crypto. So from what I understand, there's going to be some sale of it, some distribution to people as well, but could definitely. I mean, if I feel like I've been waiting a long time for my crypto with the Gemini situation, it's only a year and a half. This is way longer than that. What are the sell pressure on this? Like I have a hard time envisioning them, it being dumped all at once. But at the same time, it is free money for the government that they've gotten back. So who the hell knows? Anything that you've seen or any thoughts that you have on how this Bitcoin transfer from that wallet to these unknown wallets is going to impact the price, or how they're going to be how it's going to be distributed?
I think it's interesting to look at, because you have both the government's going to sell and also what they're going to distribute to creditors. I think from the government side, if they're going to sell it like now/this week, I think it probably comes tomorrow before Market Friday, and they'll probably try and see how the market reacts Friday. I think on the consumer side, it's two-sided. You're going to get the people who have been in it since Mount Gox, lost it all once, built back, and they're like, I'm just going to take this. This is my original stuff. Still got the cost basis the way they're thinking of it. And you also have the people like you who are like, I've been without this money for 14 years now. I am ready to take some off the top. And, I bought this at $10 and it's now worth $69,000. So, nice little Range Rover, nice new car right there, nice Mercedes Beamer, right? So I think it'll be a split.
I think the creditors are probably going to be the ones who are just like, we are selling this shit right now.
I think it's a mix, right? Because it's like, how are you still in the game, right? Like a lot of people didn't last from Mount Gox to now, but my feeling would be the people that did probably had a good chunk lost, right? Like I know a few people who lost a few thousand Bitcoin, which is only worth a few $1,000s at the time in Mount Gox, right? But if they end up getting that much back, right, they're getting a lot of money. So you'll probably take some off the top. And then you'll probably want to figure out how you can invest it, because there's a lot more you can do with Bitcoin now. I mean, not a lot, but compared to 2010, right? Now you have stuff you can buy on Bitcoin. There are certain, stores and places that'll take Bitcoin as payment. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to see price fall for a little bit. But I think one thing that's important that you mentioned earlier is now there are institutions involved who they want to protect the price, right? They just spend a lot of money of their own and also of their investors who are, whether it's on the institutional or consumer, like 401k side, they don't want to see that money all go to zero, right? And so I think it'll be interesting. But I think my ultimate prediction is we probably start seeing price move tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, Thursday ahead of weekly close. And, we'll start to see some action getting priced in then.
Something that I'm wondering is, do we see much of a market reaction? Because it wouldn't shock me if there were a lot of OTC deals going on and this wasn't like market sell situations, right? Like,
I think,
would you be surprised at all if our good buddy Larry Fink got a 20% discount on a few thousand Bitcoin? Like it wouldn't.
I wouldn't be surprised at all, right? Like when you're trying to acquire that much at once, you're not going to Coinbase and just putting, a multi-million-dollar buy order in, because that's just a recipe for disaster. So yeah, I think there's definitely going to be some OTC moves, and maybe we won't see the price effect immediately, but it'll be something that trickles down later. But I think the point where we're at now is we've got so many on-chain sleuths kind of monitoring those wallets, where if they see, BlackRock wallet 12 just got X amount, right? It'll have to be some sort of fresh wallet deal for the OTC to actually work as intended. Otherwise, you're going to see, I think of them as like Bitcoin MEV bots. I don't know that Bitcoin actually has MEV, but now you've got so many people watching mempool just trying to sit and say, okay, who's doing what? So if they see that much Bitcoin being moved and it looks like a BlackRock wallet, the market's going to react. It just may not be because BlackRock got 1,000 new Bitcoin. It'll be because people watch BlackRock get 1,000 new Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think the big boys are going to come out of this getting a huge win. Anything else that has come across your timeline that you want to discuss? Otherwise, we can wrap this up. I think we covered just about everything that we had on the agenda for today.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things has been how many TGEs have been occurring during this kind of up and sideways movement we've seen this year. And I'm wondering if that's because it's just the market.
People who don't know can you do a quick rundown of what a TGE is? Token. Yeah. You're talking about token generating event, correct?
Of course. So whenever I
had to make sure I didn't look like I was what you were talking about.
Yeah, no, in case we got some people who haven't heard the term. So whenever a new cryptocurrency is launched, when the token is actually generated via the smart contract, it's referred to as the token generation event, or TGE. So typically any sort of token with a pre-sale, right, that all occurs before TGE versus something like fair launch, where the token goes live and then anyone who knows of it has an opportunity to buy it. But I just keep seeing, across whether it's DeFi protocols, gaming, meme coins. Meme coins just never stopped since last April, it seems like. But for legitimate projects and businesses that are trying to say like, hey, we're going to launch this token, finally integrate it into our ecosystem, whether they've been planning on it or not, it seems like everyone and their mother is trying to get a token out. And I think part of that is because we have confidence right now, but people don't have confidence that the market's going to be sustained and that we're not in a true bull. And I think I'm kind of torn in between. I think we continue to go up, but I think, at some point we do come down. So my ultimate thought is like, what's driving all these TGEs other than numbers been going up? Because I think that's ultimately a cause for concern, right? Like, if all these teams and businesses are launching tokens just because they think like, hey, if we don't launch it now, we're not going to be able to for another 2 years. It's like, maybe you shouldn't be rushing to, help the cascading collapse. Like, if say that ETH or Bitcoin takes a huge dip, right? Then we start seeing the beta plays of, okay, well, I don't necessarily want to sell my ETH or Bitcoin, so let me sell what's going to be reactionary. The first thing I'm selling is like, that token worth 3 cents that I just kind of bought on a limb because number was going up on everything, right? So I feel like if that keeps happening, we're probably going to see some cascading failures. But didn't want to get all doomy and gloomy towards the end of the show. It's just something that's been on my mind.
No worries, man. That is going to do it for today. I hope you have an awesome time down at Consensus. It should be, we've years ago, it was anytime there was a crypto event, crypto would dump. But lately, it's been the other way around. So maybe we continue to see that. Maybe Consensus pumps the market a little bit. That sure would make me happy. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. The next week and a half or so is going to be kind of weird show-wise. I'm going to be gone. I think House and Kevin will be back next week, so they will have you covered there. Keep an eye out on their Twitter accounts. They'll make sure to tweet out information. But thank you for joining us. If you have not yet, like, subscribe, all that good stuff is greatly, greatly appreciated. Safe travels, Mr. House. Kevin, if you're out there watching at some point, safe travels as well. Have a great week, buddy. And we will see you guys next time.